Welcome to our channel. In this video, we'll delve into the origins and evolution of Hamas, its role in Palestinian politics, the ongoing humanitarian crisis in Gaza as of April 2025, and the involvement of various military forces, including the United States. Our aim is to give you an inside look into the current situation in the region and how this group is affecting the lives of millions of people. So don't go anywhere and keep watching until the end. Hamas, short for Harakat al-Muqawama al-Islamiyya, or the Islamic Resistance Movement, emerged in December 1987 during the First Intifada, a mass Palestinian uprising against Israeli occupation. Its roots trace back to the Muslim Brotherhood, and it was founded by key figures including Sheikh Ahmed Yassin and Abdel Aziz al-Rantisi. What started as a grassroots movement soon transformed into a dominant force in Palestine politics and resistance. Hamas operates as both a political party and a militant group. Its armed wing, the Izz ad-Din al-Qassam Brigades, has carried out numerous attacks and engaged in several wars with Israel over the years. This dual nature has made Hamas a deeply polarizing entity on the global stage. The United States, Canada, the European Union, and Israel classify Hamas as a terrorist organization primarily because of its military activities and attacks on civilians. Despite this, Hamas has gained substantial support among Palestinians, particularly after its sweeping victory in the 2006 legislative elections. That win triggered a fierce rivalry with the Fatah party, culminating in a violent split in 2007. Since then, Hamas has ruled the Gaza Strip while the Palestinian Authority, dominated by Fatah, maintains control of the West Bank. This division has not only fractured Palestine leadership, but also complicated efforts towards a unified political solution. From the beginning, Hamas's ideology has blended Palestinian nationalism with Islamic fundamentalism. Its original 1988 charter left little ambiguity. It called for the complete destruction of Israel and the establishment of an Islamic state across all historic Palestine. This uncompromising stance became the cornerstone of its identity and the main reason it was shunned by many of the international community. But in 2017, Hamas took a surprising step. It released a new policy document that, while not replacing the old charter, indicated a shift in tone. The document accepted the idea of a Palestine state within the 1967 borders, which included the West Bank, Gaza Strip, and East Jerusalem. However, this was presented as a temporary solution. Hamas stopped short of recognizing Israel and reaffirming its long-term goal of liberating all of Palestine. This nuanced position has led to conflicting interpretations. Some analysis viewed it as a pragmatic step towards engaging with international diplomacy and possibly a two-state solution. Others saw it as purely strategic, an attempt to gain legitimacy without changing its ultimate aims. Beyond ideology, Hamas has also established a strong presence in Gaza by providing social services like healthcare, education, and aid for the poor, functions often associated with state governance. These efforts have helped solidify grassroots support even amid the destruction and hardship brought on by recurring conflicts with Israel. However, the group's continued commitment to armed resistance has kept it at odds with most of the international community and has made any path to peace increasingly difficult. As of April 2025, Gaza is gripped by one of the worst humanitarian catastrophes in modern history. The landscape has been decimated, the infrastructure hollowed out, and the population is barely surviving. What began with a shocking Hamas-led attack on Israel on October 7, 2023, resulting in the deaths of approximately 1,200 Israelis, and the taking of 251 hostages, has spiraled into a prolonged, devastating war with no clear end in sight. In retaliation, Israel launched what they called a campaign to dismantle Hamas once and for all. But over the past 18 months, the campaign has evolved into a grinding military occupation, and Gaza has become a symbol of endless suffering. According to the latest reports, more than 51,000 Palestinians have been killed, many of them women and children. Over 90% of Gaza's population, nearly 2 million people, have been forcefully displaced. Entire neighborhoods lie in rubble. The basic needs like food, water, electricity, and medical care have become luxuries. What makes the situation even more desperate is a deliberate strategy unfolding on the ground. Since March 2025, the Israeli military has expanded its control deeper into southern Gaza. Cities like Rafah and Khan Yunis, once considered last refuges for displaced civilians, are now active war zones. Over 400,000 more Palestinians have been displaced in just the past few weeks as Israel pushes southward, seizing around 20% of the territory. The stated goal? Establishing a permanent buffer zone inside Gaza to prevent any future Hamas resurgence. But that buffer zone has come at an unbearable cost. Aid groups are warning of famine, hospitals have been bombed or shut down, forcing doctors to perform surgeries without anesthesia and amputations in hallways lit by cell phones. Disease is spreading, children are starving. The UN officials have described the situation as apocalyptic. Despite international outcries, ceasefire efforts remain stalled. A proposed 45-day truce backed by the U.S. and Israel included a phased release of hostages and Palestinian prisoners. Hamas, however, rejected key demands, particularly Israel's insistence that the group disarm and allow Israeli troops to remain in Gaza during the truce. For Hamas, any deal without full Israeli withdrawal is seen as surrender. And so, the negotiations remain frozen, even as the death toll climbs and desperation deepens. What's unfolding now is not just a war, it's the collapse of a society in real time. Gaza is no longer a functioning region. It is a battlefield, a graveyard, and a humanitarian emergency all at once. And still, the bombs fall. The scale and intensity of the military involvement in Gaza is unprecedented in recent decades. Israeli forces have maintained a relentless tempo, airstrikes by day, ground raids by night, and a digital war of surveillance and cyber intelligence running 24/7 in the background. The Israeli Defense Forces, IDF, say their objective is simple: eliminate Hamas's military and political leadership and destroy its capability to govern or wage war. But achieving that goal has required massive, sustained firepower. The IDF has employed drone swarms, targeted assassinations, tunnel-busting bombs, and widespread use of AI-assisted targeting systems. Residential areas, schools, and even refugee camps have not been spared, with Israel claiming Hamas fighters use these as shields. The result has been catastrophic civilian casualties and the growing chorus of international condemnation. Meanwhile, the United States continues to walk a tightrope. It has reaffirmed Israel's rights to self-defense, and military aid continues to flow. Ammunition, interceptors for the Iron Dome, and high-tech surveillance tools. At the same time, American officials are increasingly voicing concerns about the humanitarian cost of the war. Washington has pushed hard for ceasefire deals and has applied diplomatic pressure on Qatar, where many Hamas top leaders reside in exile. In April, the U.S. went a step further, threatening to withdraw political support if Hamas refuses a new hostage-for-truce proposal. The Trump administration has made it clear either Hamas agrees to a deal or Qatar should expel its leadership. Other nations are getting pulled in too. Iran, long accused of backing Hamas with weapons, money, and training, has ramped up its rhetoric and its military posture. Iranian proxy groups in Lebanon, Iraq, and Yemen have launched attacks on Israeli and U.S. targets in the region, creating the real possibility of a wider regional war. In response, Israel has carried out strikes in Syria and Lebanon, and the U.S. has deployed naval assets and fighter jets to the eastern Mediterranean as a show of force. Qatar, despite growing international pressure, continues to play the mediator. Its relationship with Hamas gives it a rare channel of communication, but it's under intense scrutiny. Accusations that it's enabling extremism are growing louder, especially in Western capitals. Egypt and Jordan have worked behind the scenes to try to de-escalate tensions, but even they are showing signs of strain. Egypt, in particular, has kept the Rafah border crossing tightly controlled, citing security concerns, while also fearing a wave of refugees it's not prepared to absorb. This isn't just a conflict between Israel and Hamas anymore. It's becoming a proxy war, a diplomatic quagmire, and a military powder keg. And unless the trajectory changes soon, the region could be pulled into a broader confrontation with consequences far beyond Gaza's borders. The world is watching Gaza, and what they're seeing is sparking outrage, division, and diplomatic chaos. Western allies like the United States and the European Union have mostly backed Israel's right to defend itself, but even among them, cracks are forming. Protests have erupted across major cities including London, Paris, and New York, with demonstrators calling for an immediate ceasefire and accusing their governments of complacency in civilian deaths. In Washington, pressure is mounting on lawmakers as humanitarian images from Gaza dominate the news cycle and social media. Meanwhile, many countries in the global south, as well as Muslim-majority nations, have taken a sharply different stance. The Maldives banned Israeli passport holders in protest, while South Africa took Israel to the International Court of Justice, accusing it of genocide, charges that Israel denies. Turkey has suspended trade with Israel altogether, and Brazil, Indonesia, and Malaysia have issued scathing condemnations of the ongoing siege. At the United Nations, efforts to pass binding resolutions have largely stalled due to U.S. veto power. Still, UN officials have sounded alarm bells, calling the humanitarian situation untenable and warning that continued forced displacement could amount to ethnic cleansing. Relief agencies say they are being systematically blocked from reaching the people who need help most. The Arab League has proposed a post-war reconstruction plan, allowing Palestinians to remain in Gaza, but the U.S. and Israel have rejected it, favoring alternatives involving either foreign administration or, controversially, partial resettlement. That idea has been condemned widely and has only added fuel to the already volatile global debate. The international response is no longer just political. It's emotional, personal, and raw. Lines are being drawn, and with every passing day, Gaza is becoming not just a war zone, but a global litmus test for justice, power, and humanity itself. The situation in Gaza remains complex and fluid. Understanding Hamas, the roots of this war, and the human toll it continues to take is essential to making sense of what's happening and what might come next. We hope this video has helped you grasp the bigger picture with clarity and depth. Thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe for more fact-based, in-depth content on global military events.